that tense night, Tunde's mind couldn't rest. The more he thought about Mama Bola's words, the deeper his unease grew. "There are forces you can't see," she had whispered, her eyes wide with fear and something else, something like desperation. Tunde couldn't understand why, but he knew she was hiding something far darker than anyone in Agunle could imagine. Tunde knew he had to find out more, so the next morning, he went to look for Pajide, one of the oldest elders in the community. Pajide was known as the town historian, a man who knew every story, every rumor, and secrets that had ever flowed through Agunle. If there is anyone that could shed light on Mama Bola's mysterious past, it would be him. Pajide's compound was modest, with a single thatch hut surrounded by palm trees. As Tunde approaches, he noticed the elder sitting on a wooden stool, chewing on a stick of sugarcane and humming a Yoruba folk tune. When Pajide saw Tunde, he gave a toothless smile. "Tunde, my boy," he called out, his voice raspy, yet full of warmth. "What brings you to this old man's home so early?" Tunde bowed in greetings, then sat down beside him. "Pajide, I have something I need to ask you about Mama Bola, the pepper soup woman." The old man's face tightened slightly, his eyes narrowing. "Mama Bola, you say?" he asked, his voice laced with caution. "What business do you have with that woman?" Tunde took a deep breath, choosing his words carefully. I think something strange is going on at her pepper soup joint. People are getting sick. They are addicted to her pepper soup. And it's as if they can't live without it." Pajide's expression grew somber. He chewed thoughtfully on his sugarcane before finally speaking. "I know the woman you called Mama Bola, but her story is older than her name. You see, Tunde, Mama Bola wasn't born here in Agunle. She came here many years ago, from a village to the east. She was already known for her pepper soup, but there was rumors about her back then." "What kind of rumors?" Tunde leaned in, eager for any hints. Pajide lowered his voice. "They said her family practiced, I think, something like dark arts. Her grandmother was feared, not just for her cooking, but for her connection with the other world. It was said that her pepper soup was made with special ingredients that no one could ever guess, and most importantly, with human parts. People who ate it felt healed and even stronger, but there were always whispers that those who tasted it never truly left. They were bound to her, one way or the other." Tunde shivered, feeling a chill crawl up his spine. "And do you think she's doing the same thing here?" Pajide sighed, his gaze distant. "I can't say for sure, Tunde, but I can tell you this, my boy. If you suspect that something isn't right, then you must be very careful. The spirits she deals with, they're not kind at all. If you dig too deep, you may not like what you will find." Tunde left Pajide's compound with a heavy heart, his mind swinging with the elder's warning. He knew he had to continue his investigation, but the danger felt more real than ever. Still, he was determined to get to the bottom of Mama Bola's secrets. Meanwhile, back at the joint, Mama Bola noticed that her business was still booming, but an uncertain tension hung over her customers. They ate with feverish intensity, scrubbing every last drop from their plates, but their eyes looked empty and haunted. She saw Emeka, Ireti, and even Chike among them, each looking more exhausted than the last. Chike's hands were shaking as he lifted his bowls to his lips. "Mama Bola, please, can I get another serving?" he pleaded, his voice thin and desperate. His eyes looked sunken, and his cheeks were hollow. as if he hadn't slept in days. Mama Bola hesitated, her heart racing as she added another serving. Deep down, she knew something was wrong. Her customers weren't just eating her pepper soup any longer. They were born to it, drawn to it by forces beyond her control. She could feel it, like a weight pressing on her chest, but she didn't know how to stop it. Late that night, as Mama Bola cleaned up her kitchen, she heard a faint knock at the door. She froze, her heart pounding. When she opened the door, she found Tunde standing there, his face set in a hard-determined expression. "Mama Bola, I need to talk to you," he said, his tone leaving no room for argument. Mama Bola's stomach twisted. She knew Tunde had been suspicious of her, but now she could see the resolve in his eyes. He wasn't just here to chat, he wanted answers. "Ah, Tunde, my son, you are out so late," she said, forcing a smile. "What brings you here?" Tunde stepped inside, his gaze unwavering. "Mama Bola, please, don't lie to me. I know something is going on here. People are getting sick. They are becoming obsessed with your pepper soup. And I know it's not just the spices you're putting in there." Mama Bola's face tightened and she turned away, her shoulders slumbling. "Tunde, you don't understand. This is bigger than you or me. Please stay away and stop looking for what is bigger than you, or you will end up getting drowned." Tunde's voice was a mixture of anger and displeasure. "So, you admit it? You are using dark magic? You are putting things that no one should ever eat in the soup? Alright, fine. You want to know the truth, right? I will tell you, but there is nothing you can do about it," Mama Bola said with a strange look in her eyes. "When I come to Agunle, I had nothing. The spirit offered me a way to survive, to thrive. I thought it would be harmless, just a taste of their powers. But now I can't stop. The spirit demands more, and if I don't give it to them, they will take it by force. So you see, there is nothing anyone can do about it, not even you." Tunde stared at her, horrified. "Mama Bola, you have to stop this. You are hurting the people, your customers. They are losing themselves. They are becoming hollow." Mama Bola shook her head, with guilt on her face and trying to hold back her tears. "It's too late, Tunde. I'm born to this path. If I stop, the spirits will come for me. They will take me, and they will take everyone who has ever eaten my pepper soup. They have tasted the powers, the flesh, and now they are born to it, just as I am." Tunde clenched his feet, feeling a sense of anger and helplessness. "Then let me help you. There has to be a way to break this path." Mama Bola looked at him, her expression filled with despair. "There is no way out, Tunde. The spirits are too strong. They are woven into the very essence of the pepper soup. If I try to stop, they will destroy everything I have ever built." Tunde refused to accept her words. "There have to be a way. I will find it, even if you won't." As he turned to leave, Mama Bola reached out, her voice breaking. "Tunde, please be very careful. If you continue down this path, you may not survive." But Tunde didn't look back. His mind was made up. He would do whatever it took to uncover the truth and put an end to Mama Bola's dark secrets. As he walked away from the joint, he felt a chill settle over him, as if unseen eyes were watching him from the shadows. Back inside her joint, Mama Bola slumped to the floor, her heart heavy with regret. She had wanted a simple life, a business that would provide for her and earn her respect, but the price had been too high, and now she was trapped in a web of her own making. And as she sat alone in the dim light of her kitchen, she couldn't shake the feeling that her time was running out. The next day, word spread quickly through Agunle that Tunde was seeking questions about Mama Bola's pepper soup. People whispered among themselves, casting uneasy glance at Mama Bola's joint, though they still line up outside her door, unable to resist the aroma of her pepper soup. Mama Bola noticed the whispered, the suspicious look, and a sense of fear settled over her. Just when she thought things couldn't get any worse, a mysterious stranger appeared in Agunle. It was a hot afternoon when the stranger walked into the town, wrapped in a faded brown shawl, with her face hidden beneath a hat. She moved with a slow, deliberate step, and her presence seems to carry a chill that sent shiver down the spine of anyone who crosses her path. No one recognized her, but something about her felt ancient, as though she carried with her secrets older than time. As the sun dipped low in the sky, casting long shadows across the dusty road, the stranger made her way to Mama Bola's joint. She entered quietly, her movement almost like a ghost, and sat at an empty table in the corner. Mama Bola, busy stirring a pot of pepper soup, glanced up and froze. Her heart skipped a beat as her eyes met the stranger's, dark and piercing under the brain of her heart. Silence fell over the joint as the stranger sat there, unmoving, simply watching. Mama Bola felt the weight of the gaze like 1,000 needles piercing her skin, and her hand trembled. She put down her bag and approached the stranger, forcing a smile. "Good evening, ma," Mama Bola greeted, her voice shaking slightly. "Can I bring you a bowl of pepper soup?" The stranger didn't respond right away. She simply studied Mama Bola, her gaze intense and unyielding. Finally, she spoke, her voice low and fearful. "I am not here for the pepper soup, Bola. I'm here for you." A chill ran down Mama Bola's spine. She hadn't heard that name, just her name, without the mama's title, in so many years. How did this woman know her name? And why did she sound so familiar? What do you mean?" Mama Bola stammered, her voice barely a whisper. The stranger leaned forward, lowering her voice so that only Mama Bola could hear. "You have been feeding the spirit, Bola. You are playing with forces that can consume you and everyone who dares to test your pepper soup." Mama Bola's heart pounded, her mind racing with fear and confusion. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice barely audible. "I am the one who warned your grandmother long time ago. I told her there would be a price for meddling with the spirits. She didn't listen. And now, here you are again, following the same path." Mama Bola's mind flashed back to her grandmother, to the countless stories she had told her about the old ways and the spirit that walked among the living. Her grandmother had always warned her never to dive too deeply, never to let the spirit become greedy. But Mama Bola had been desperate, and she had pushed those warnings aside, thinking she could control the powers. "What am I supposed to do?" Mama Bola asked, her voice trembling. "If I stop, they will come for me. They will come for my customers." The stranger shook her head slowly, a hint of sadness in her eyes. "This is the nature of the spirits. Once they taste human flesh, they crave it forever. You have fed them well, Bola, but their hunger will never be satisfied. They will continue to haunt you and anyone who tastes your food. The only way to end this is to cut the path." Mama Bola felt a surge of panic. How? How can I cut the path?" The stranger's voice dropped to a whisper, cold and forbidding. "This is no easy way, Bola. You may pay the price with your own blood. Only then can the spirit be silenced." "My blood? But that would kill me," The stranger gave a slight nod, her expression unreadable. Yes, the spirit demand balance. You have taken their bodies to feed your customers as pepper soup, and now they will take yours in return. It is the only way to free your customers, to break the curse. If you don't want all those who have tasted your soup to be taken by the spirits. Mama Bola's head sprang as she is shocked with the weight of the stranger's word. Was she willing to make that sacrifice? To give up her own life to save the people of Agunle? The fear in her heart was matched only by the crushing guilt she felt. She had caused this, brought this darkness upon the town, but the thought of her own death was terrifying. Just then, Tunde entered the joint, his eyes immediately drawn to the stranger sitting in the corner. He paused, studying the woman with suspicion, before making his way over to Mama Bola. "Mama Bola," he said, his voice tense. "Who is this woman?" The stranger turned her gaze to Tunde, her expression still unreadable. "I am someone who has come to help, but it is up to Bola here to decide whether she will accept that help or not." Mama Bola looked between Tunde and the stranger, feeling trapped. She had a choice to make, but it was a choice she never thought she would have to face. Her heart pounded as she considered the weight of her decision. Tunde, sensing her tumor, placed a hand on her shoulder. "Mama Bola, whatever it is, you don't have to face it alone. I will stand by you. Even though you have done a lot of evil deed, I still consider you as an elder and a member of this town." The stranger's expression softened slightly, a flicker of something, almost like pity, across her face. "Your friend here is loyal, Bola, but loyalty will not save him or anyone else. You alone must decide." Mama Bola took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her choice pressing down on her. She knew what she had to do, even if it terrified her. She turned to the stranger, her voice barely a whisper. I will cut the path. I will do whatever it takes to free Agunle from this curse. I am tired of it myself." The stranger nodded, her eyes gleaming with a mix of approval and sorrow. "Very well, Bola. At midnight, go to the place where you first made the path. Bring an offering of your own blood. And remember, the spirit which you have taken their flesh to feed your customers will not make this easy for you. They will fight to keep you bonded." With those final words, the stranger rose from her seat and slowly walked out of the joint, disappearing into the darkening streets of Agunle. The silence she left behind felt heavy, filled with the weight of impending doom. Tunde looked at Mama Bola, his expression filled with fear and determination. "Mama Bola, I thought you only used magical powers, so you also use dead human flesh to prepare your pepper soup. Ha! That is heartless of you. But since you have decided to stop what you are doing, then I will put aside the hard feeling and support you, just to free the innocent customers you have trapped. You don't have to do this alone. I will come with you." Mama Bola shook her head. "No, Tunde, this is my mess, my burden to bear. You have already done enough by caring. By trying to help me, I have to face the spirit alone. This is the price I must pay." As the night wore on, Mama Bola prepared herself for what lay ahead. She gathered her courage, knowing that midnight would bring the ultimate test of her resolve. With a heavy heart, she made her way through the quiet streets, her thoughts filled with memories of her grandmother, of the old ways, and of the choices that had led her here. As the clock struck midnight, Mama Bola reached the edge of the town, where an ancient shrine stood, hidden among the trees. It was here that she first made the path when she came to Agunle, and it was here that she would end it. She knelt before the shrine, feeling the weight of the spirit's presence all around her. her hand trembling as she prepared to give the offering that would break the curse once and for all. As Mama Bola knelt in the thick forest, the ancient shrine loomed before her, a silent witness of her path with the spirits. The air was thick and still, carrying an unnatural chill that made her shiver. Her heartbeat thundered in her chest as she prepared for the ritual that would set her and the people of Agunle free, or destroy her entirely. Mama Bola brought out a small rusted knife from her bag, which she had used to make the path many years ago, slicing her palm to bind herself to the spirit in exchange for prosperity. Now, she will have to cut her flesh once more, an offering of blood to end the curse and her connection to the other world. But as she lifted the knife, the spirits made their presence known to her. A cold gust of wind swept through the trees, carrying with it whisper that seems to surround her, filling her with a deep sense of fear. The shadows around the shrine thickened, twisting into an unnatural shape that seems to watch her with hungry eyes. "Bola," the voice hissed, "why do you seek to break the bond?" Mama Bola swallowed hard, steeling herself. "I am done feeding you. I have had enough. Too many innocent people are suffering because of my mistake and my greed." The voice turned cold. "You are bound to us, Bola. You cannot escape. Your blood alone is not enough to free you from our grasp." Fear crept into her, but she kept her voice steady. "I will give you whatever it takes to end this. I will pay the price."